Mephisto is confirmed. Coming up, we are talking about the end to Ironheart. This is the Sacred Rewatch. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Illuminati takeover of the Sacred Rewatch, brought to you by Effortless Expeditions. If you don't know what that is, go check out our other videos. It's Disney Center Travel Agency. We're moving on. We got more important stuff to talk about, guys. Mephisto is confirmed. 5 years in the making.
Dude, I swear.
Today, I am joined by Brody. Now, Brody, go ahead. Get your thoughts out. Say everything you want.
Okay. So first of all, I just want to shout out my shirt here, my sweater. This is obviously the hood reference. Obviously, that's what we got going on here. Very obvious. I'm sure I didn't need to explain that. But I swear, watching these episodes, I said, oh my gosh, Ethan got a deal with Marvel, and he got to watch the episodes early. I said, the podcast did so well that he secretly gotten the stuff ahead of time, and he was able to perfectly predict how everything went in the show. Like, I kid you not, everything you said happened.
I know.
And it was crazy, because it was a complete switch from the first three. First three had nothing that, like, was going towards that direction. Like, just a little bit, and then just everything you said happened.
Well, it was like two separate TV shows. The first part was like tech focused, and then the second part was completely magic focused.
Yeah, and I think the drops was really good because it did separate those two halves of the show very nicely. But I will say, if you guys haven't seen the first episode where we talked about this, please do, because after watching the finale, if you go back and listen to what Ethan's saying, it's like exactly what happens, and it's so funny to see us just unaware that that's exactly what's going to happen.
As much as I want to say I predicted everything, I still am kind of surprised that Riri Williams literally made a deal with the devil. I did not expect that.
Not confirmed.
I think confirmed.
They're leaving it up in the air, though.
But Natalie came back.
But we never see her shake the hand. This could still be a fake scenario.
But how was she able to come back?
Because we don't know that that's even real. Like, her growing with it on it, that could just be an alternate reality where she did say yes. We didn't see her actually shake hands.
Oh, man. So you're saying this relates to the multiverse?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, the ending. I'm not saying that it was a physical multiverse where that happened. The end, the cliffhanger was you don't know if she actually accepted the deal or not, because the whole show's been questioning her morality and stuff, and her grief and how she's going to deal with that. So the whole ending was supposed to just leave it up in the air. So then if they do a season 2, then you finally find out.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason I think so is because Riri Williams looks noticeably different at that very end when Natalie comes back, right? Her hair is,
absolutely,
taken out of the braids, which is, or cornrows, matter of fact, which, is not her typical look.
Yeah.
She, I saw some people talking about how she's got the same stuff that the Hood had growing on his arm. So similar to what Caecilius had, which I just want to put out there. I felt so validated watching the show, not because of my predictions were being right, but we got stuff that was, this truly felt like an MCU TV show.
True.
They talked about Dormammu. They talked about Caecilius, Mephisto. I mean, I am very, very pleased with how the show ended. I also want to say, though, I do think it kind of got away from the plot a little bit from what they introduced.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think that's kind of where I'm at now. I was very prepped for what the first 3 episodes were presenting, and I was kind of ready for the science and smarts versus magic and, like, greed, like, that connection. I wasn't expecting... That's why, like, when you were bringing it up, I was like, I don't really see her using magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it seemed like a very... when Peter Parker's fighting Doctor Strange kind of thing. Like, oh, she's going to outsmart him. You know what I mean? Doing something. I thought the magic was fine when it was involved. But I think this is one where you're going to have to rewatch it now fully understanding the story they were telling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because you never know what they're going to do.
To me, like, similar to Multiverse of Madness, when Multiverse of Madness was getting ready to come out, I fully expected there was going to be a ton of cameos and we were going to get a ton of answers for everything that's happened to that point, right?
Right.
This show, the finale drops, and I feel like I have even more questions now. The Hood doesn't die. Mephisto's confirmed. Riri, may or may not have made a deal with the devil. You have, what's her name? Zelma, the young sorcerer.
Yeah. And
she's like working with the Hood and then
I did
doing her
end
own
up
thing.
looking into. That's another thing about this project. This is one of the first projects that has actually made me look into the comics. Like in a long time. Because you're just dealing with MCU stuff with characters you already know.
Yeah.
This show actually made me be like, oh, is Ezekiel Stain like this in the comics? Oh, he does have electric powers. Oh, like that is part of his thing. Oh, what's this girl with the magic shop doing? Oh, they could do Strange Academy. You know what I mean? And and then I heard that they were going to try to do, like the one I was looking at this, they were kind of choosing between a Nova, is it Nova Prime? Nova Prime show? And in a young Strange Academy show. But again, this was filmed so long ago that I think both those might be out of the window for now. But I think it would be a cool place to kind of have Doctor Strange's involvement.
My how I feel about, all these questions that have arisen. This would be great if this was in phase 4, right? Or even the middle of phase 5.
Yes.
This is officially the end of phase 5.
Yeah.
And, we only have, 3, maybe 4 projects now leading up to Doomsday. We've got Fantastic Four, which comes out in a few days. Did you check out the trailer of Eyes of Wakanda that came out with this?
Honestly, I was watching these so back-to-back before this that I had to skip it each time. I was watching it back.
I'm very excited for that. The animation style looks really good. I think we're going to get the cool backstory in Wakanda.
The MCU, right?
Yeah.
It's the first, canon animated thing like that. Because What If isn't...
In the MCU...
And in another multiverse, but...
Yeah, no, What If is another universe, Spider-Man freshman year is another universe, What If's another universe.
But this one is canon to the timeline that we're in the MCU.
Yeah, I think it's going to do a lot of jumping around, though, because I think the first episode is going to start, 1st century, and then there might be another one in the 10th century, and kind of so on.
Yeah, but, I think the main problem with this show is the main problem with any Disney Plus show, in that season 2s aren't guaranteed, and they're not even likely.
Yeah, we've only gotten one, right?
For what?
A season 2 of a Disney Plus show?
Of any Disney Plus show?
Live action. That's live action.
For the MCU?
Yeah. Just Loki, right?
Loki has a season 2. I feel like there's got to be one more, right?
No, Hawkeye was rumored to happen and didn't happen.
Most of the other ones were all movies turned TV shows. So I guess those were pretty, closed off.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hawkeye was supposed to be a second season.
I kind of felt like, to be honest, Loki season 1, the way it ended, that was the one I thought was not going to have a second season. And then
completely agree. I completely agree. But, it's the same, with what happened to Willow and all these other Disney Plus shows. Is the second you're invested, it's either the entire, online community doesn't like it, so you're not getting a sequel.
Yeah.
Or it's just not likely, which is the real shame. And because the timing of this coming out is like you're saying, for when it's coming out in the MCU, it doesn't really make sense. It's cool to set up Ironheart like this. Yeah. And I think that's good going in the next movie. But going into Doomsday, if she's in it, we're going to find out if she accepted the deal right there. You know what I mean? We're going to know that. And same with the Mephisto stuff. I like that they introduced it and how they introduced it in the show. But I feel like this would have been a heavier hit right after we're dealing with these huge villains. But I think they kind of want them to be not like a B plot, but more of a side antagonist who can manipulate stuff when you don't expect it.
Well, it's similar to how Kingpin was in Hawkeye, right? He was introduced in the last episode, and then you kind of realize he was the one that was pulling the strings.
Yeah, I think something more like that.
Well,
But
what
if
else
they
did
do another Doctor Strange, I think it's got to be Mephisto. Because also I saw this photo. It's got to be real. I saw New Rockstars talking about it because I had to double check. But when he's got the spoon in his tea in the restaurant, in the reflection you can see like the red version of him.
Yeah.
With the glowing eyes, and I'm like, that's if they ever were to do that, that's got to be a Doctor Strange 3, right?
I would say that, or if he pops up in Doomsday, that's probably what we'll get is that version of him.
Can you imagine, like, Doctor Strange's introduction scene and Doomsday is just him killing Mephisto? Like, it's just...
Listen, the way I feel about it is, well, because if we do get a Doctor Strange sequel, which it's sounding like we will, and it will be in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, I just feel like it would feel very jammed in. I really don't hope we don't see Mephisto in Doomsday.
I don't think we will.
I really hope not, because I feel like then it would just make the movie too clunky.
Yeah. That would just... They got enough to deal with. I really hope they're going to kind of cut down. Because it's kind of how Multiverse of Madness was. Like, I liked the cameos, but, like, they didn't feel genuine. You know what I mean? To me, at least. So, I don't know. They really got to be careful about how they handle that in the future.
Yeah. Well, what else did you like about the show? Let's actually talk about the plot now that we got Mephisto out of the way.
I don't... Like I said, I think it's going to take a rewatch for me. Because I just wasn't expecting it to go the way it was going. Like, Alden Ehrenreich was great. The shot when he gets taken to prison, and it's a rotating shot, and it's all the different shots of him walking down the hallway, getting his haircut. Like I'm saying, the camera work in this show is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, it's just cool stuff that you don't usually see in a Disney Plus show. And it has its own style. Like, it's not trying to be movie quality just for movie quality. Like, it actually feels like it has its own style.
Yeah.
A lot of the other stuff, it kind of felt like how WandaVision felt, where I'm really on board with the starter concept of the show, but then towards the end, I like remember it's a Marvel TV show, so they have to introduce like a big bad and have the big fight, which is fun and all, but like I always really enjoy the start of the season. You know what I mean?
I mean, a lot more. I can't agree with you. I'm a big WandaVision fan, so.
No, I am a huge WandaVision fan, and I loved the concept. But, like, the fight at the end was okay. But once you're there, you're kind of like...
I disagree.
Disagree with what? The fight wasn't okay?
I thought the ending of the show was fantastic.
Like, I'm not saying that it's not good.
No pun intended, by the way.
I'm not saying that it's not good, okay? But it's not the most enjoyable part of the show to me. Because it's like, you kind of know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? There hasn't been one other than Loki that has like a groundbreaking finale where it's like you really weren't expecting that. Like you knew at the end that Agatha was going to fight Wanda. Wanda was going to win.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a bad thing for that there's going to be
I know, but I'm just saying it's not the most interesting part of the show for me. You know what I mean? Like that's like the Mephisto talks in this are kind of like the Agatha talks when Agatha's like going through and she's all explaining like what she was doing and stuff. But like, it's good. But like I said, I think it'll need a rewatch so I can see it in context with the first half and the second half. And because like there's stuff I didn't even notice. Like when he's telling Mephisto, when the Hood is saying like, oh, he wants to be a king. Like he's not the one that initially wants that. It's his buddy that dies. That says that they're going to be kings when they're like doing that first robbery on like his dad's house.
Well, okay, I have a question. But that conversation that they had was before everything happened. That was when he first got the Hood, right?
Did he have the Hood during that robbery? He was just going back to rob his dad.
Well, when he went to go to his dad and have him sign the paper, yeah, he had the hood. But that
Yeah, but
first
I'm talking
robbery
about the
when Mephisto got him into that room, the pizza parlor, that's when he first
Oh
gave him the
yeah.
hood.
Yeah, I was just talking about the one where he's with his buddy, and he's like, "Oh, it's nothing personal, right?"
Yeah.
And then they end up having to like hurt the bodyguard that comes back later.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the hood a little bit, because I started to get a little turned off by the hood at the end. I thought that comment about him wanting to be a king of what? You know, and then him, I thought he would have, felt remorseful, but then at the end of this show, like, nothing changed really.
Yeah, I don't. His style kind of turned hobgoblin-y. It kind of looked.
I mean,
like
I did like the CGI and the appearance that he was going for, especially when you like really got into being demonic, I guess.
Yeah,
like that was cool.
But yeah, in the actor, since I felt so uncultured when you said the actor and I didn't know who he was, I watched like a full movie with him yesterday, and I do like him as an actor, so I don't know if they are gonna bring him back, but like. I feel like so much of the episode was just spent talking about like, oh, you're gonna look cool. Oh, you're gonna be this. And I feel like we should have gotten more of that at the end.
Yeah.
Like he should have collapsed under the power that he was given by Mephisto.
Well, it suffered the same fate that every Disney Plus show. The episode 5 ended, and then I turned on episode 6 and I saw it had the shortest runtime, and I was like, guys, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, but it's a whole formatting thing too. Like
I know, that's what I'm saying. It just suffered the same illness that every other Disney Plus show had.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have. I don't understand why their final fight was just in that room.
I didn't really understand that.
Like
either.
I understand it was the introduction, but like episode 2, you had those 6 shots of like the suit flying through those tunnels and stuff, and it's like I would have been fine if we just moved some of the flying budget over here, over to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I was caught off by Ezekiel Stain too, because I didn't know he was like an electric powers dude in the comics. You know what I mean? Like modified either. Like that. So I thought he was just going to make another suit. I thought that was going to be the whole thing. Is he was just going to build a copy of that's like the.
Well, that's what it was kind of set up to be.
That's the Stain way, is to just make a evil version of an Iron Man suit.
Well, and I thought with how it was going when they introduced that skin technology, I thought, oh, he's going to have like Iron Man tech in his body.
Which is kind of what he ends up doing, but it's not Iron Man tech. It's like zap, electric kind of stuff.
And my other part was Zeke Stain, which I did like him as a character, but I felt like he crossed the line too much. And what I mean by the line is like I can't tell what side he's on, but not in a good way, right?
Yeah, they kept making it unclear because they kept like in that final fight, he's like, "No, I have to kill you because if I don't, I die." And he's like, "No, I don't want to do this. I don't want you, man."
Yeah, and he's like getting controlled, and then when he's not being controlled, he's like, "Well, now I'm gonna kill you." You know,
I feel like they just didn't make the distinction good enough.
No,
you know what I mean, for you to know what he's doing, like what his thoughts were. Like I feel like him being controlled by the hood was okay, but I feel like they just needed to explain better when it's his thinking, when it's not. Because he's a complete tone shift from how he was in episode 3, which makes sense when he goes to jail. But I feel like they could have handled that with a little more grace there.
Yeah. Well, we're going to keep this episode fairly short because we're going to be revisiting this in a few months once it comes up in the Sacred Rewatch. But now that the show's ended, why do you think the marketing for this was so bad? What are your thoughts on it? I didn't think it was as bad as like Secret Invasion.
I think it's like I said with, I think I said this in the first video that we did, which is if this did good and it was a slow release, like a little release, it's going to boost Fantastic Four. if this show did not do well and it was dragging bad attention towards Marvel right before Fantastic Four, it probably wouldn't have made a huge impact. But it's not beneficial to have a show that people deem as bad before that. So I think they just didn't want to risk it before Fantastic Four, which is their big summer movie.
But then, like, why wait all this time to release it right before, you know?
Because they're just caught. They have the movies coming out next year. You know what I mean? They want to kind of get their shows out. So then there's like I think there's a little bit of a gap, right?
Well, after Fantastic Four, we have about 5 months with no content.
And then we just have
I guess now I know Wakanda now, yeah.
Exactly, but that's very different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think they just want to leave a gap of anticipation towards the end of the year and going into next year. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a scheduling thing. They wanted this show to be done sooner, but it just wasn't. And that could be for so many reasons.
I think if it timed out better, you know, if this would have released when it was done, I don't know if the product would have looked the same because maybe they had more time to edit it whatsoever. But if this came out more close to Wakanda Forever, I feel like it probably would have aged a little bit better.
True. But then you have like the Mephisto cliffhanger, which is like they would have probably already been working on a season 2 if the show had done well at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I wish that that they would show a little more faith in their projects, but at the same time, they do get shut down on a lot of their projects by a lot of people. So I can't really tell them what to do there.
Yeah.
I wish it was just more beneficial for everybody. But it's like I said, we're just going to keep getting season 1s with cliffhangers and then no season 2s. And then they're just going to have to explain that stuff later on if we ever see the characters again.
Well, and also, like, did you see the report that once Vision Quest comes out, that will be the last Marvel Disney Plus show that will have a big MCU character in it?
Yeah, I heard talks about that. I'm waiting to see how that pans out.
Yeah,
they have a lot of different plans now.
I think most of my questions are, you know, because I can't imagine that there's going to be any groundbreaking Disney Plus shows that are going to come out in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, right? But then it begs the question, you know, what is the MCU going to look like post Secret Wars? Because there's a lot of rumors, and I anticipate that it's going to be a soft reboot of the MCU. We're going to lose a ton of characters, and we're going to start not from ground zero, but from a much different perspective.
Yeah. Honestly, at this point, I'm considering, like, if it would just be better for them to, like, if you're not able to get people interested in a show, it's not going to get a season 2. The show is pretty much going to be like a one-story format, just like dragged over these episodes, like any show.
Yeah.
It's like, should they just be doing like Disney Plus, not movie releases, but just like one contained thing? Just so people don't feel the weight of having to watch like a whole show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously, the thing with these shows is they're able to throw you like little things here and there, way more than a movie. They're able to be like, oh, let's go to this candy shop, and then it's actually like a magic place, and that could set up this thing in the future.
Well, I think that's why the special presentations have worked so well.
The special presentations, what are those again?
Like the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special and Werewolf by Night special.
Absolutely. Well, those are just like really beneficial.
Yeah.
Because they're more likely to get a green light on a second thing. We haven't seen that yet. But especially with the thing like the Guardians, is it's almost like how one-shots used to be, but just with more quality and more story. Of just, here's more time to spend with these characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a little bit of explanation that we're not going to get into in the next movie.
Well, yeah.
But I feel like
the two... Go ahead.
What were you going to say?
No, go ahead.
Well, I just feel like this is the same with other companies. Like, I feel like you should use the Disney Plus format way better than they are. Like, I understand it's the normal company thing to be like 7-episode show, 8-episode show. Let's just green light, keep going. Product. That's great. You have a streaming service where nobody's telling you how long an episode needs to be. Nobody's telling you what the project needs to be. So I feel like this is where they should have done more things. Like, Werewolf by Night. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or even that project, it wasn't like my favorite. I loved it, but it's not something where I was like, oh, I need more of this. It was just fun because it was a different director as Giacchino, you know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like this Disney Plus era should have been way more experimental. You know what I mean? Of like, you can totally not rely on like, because that's the thing. These shows also, you don't get director styles because they have to conform and go with the next episode. And you don't get the director for each episode, you know what I mean? Where if you just gave a director like, here, you can have an hour and a half to kind of make an Ironheart movie. It's not going to go to theaters. But if people want to figure out who this character is, they can watch this on Disney Plus. Then you don't have to tell people, oh, to watch this movie, you need to watch 8 things. You can just watch this one thing on Disney Plus, like a movie.
Yeah. Well, the fact that they said that, I mean, nobody was telling them that they had a format, but there was, you know, there's only one TV show, live action TV show that comes to mind that didn't fit the 6-episode, 6-hour total format. But it got crushed. It was She-Hulk. You know?
Yeah.
So I think they kind of got scared off. And I don't think that was due to how the show was set up. I mean, it was, you know, creatively free because it was so different.
Well, I feel like the other problem is, again, like, I feel like Marvel also suffers a problem of, like, tone and style. You know what I mean? Like, WandaVision, sitcom, easy. People can tune into that. You get into, what was the show that you just said? She-Hulk?
She-Hulk.
Like, She-Hulk was close to a sitcom almost. Like, it wasn't full-on staged like that, but it felt like a sitcom show when she talked to camera, when she was doing, like, all these funny things. Like, I just feel like when they chose, like, a style or a theme, they excelled more because they were kind of putting themselves in a box and able to do the best that they could in that box.
Yeah.
Where all these other projects are just kind of like Marvel. You know what I mean? Like, it's the Marvel style, which is fun and all, but I feel like if you're able to keep like, that's why WandaVision gained so much traction. Because it's the same as Star Wars and Rogue One. If you're able to sell it as a war movie, you're able to bring in people that don't know Star Wars. So I feel like they could have been gaining way more fans. But Ironheart as a whole, I think it's good. I don't think it's as bad as people are saying.
No.
It threw me for a loop with the second half. But if anybody thinks that this is like bad in terms of like television, like this is pretty quality. The CGI, the plot points going on, they're dealing with a lot of stuff here. I feel like any show in its first season would have problems like, oh, the finale wasn't as climactic as I wanted. If we got more seasons, then they would be able to build on that stuff and improve.
Yeah. Definitely.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was good. I don't think there was a slow episode, which definitely helped. I think there would definitely be some criticism if there was a slow episode, but I was interested the whole time I was watching it.
What was your favorite episode?
Probably was episode 3 the greenhouse one or episode 2? Episode 3 probably.
The greenhouse. I keep going back between episode 2 and 3. Just because like the all Aaron rank stuff is just so funny.
Yeah.
And like the start of the AI stuff at the end of episode 3 and all that.
Yeah.
Or the start.
Well, we will be reviewing this in a few months on our official Sacred Rewatch. Well, one last thing I want to mention. Obviously, make sure to subscribe, whatever platform you're watching it on. It always helps the channel out. And also, I just texted our group chat just a few minutes ago that we are going to be having our first live stream to review the Fantastic Four on July 24th when it comes out. I'm not entirely sure who's going to be joining us on that episode just yet, but I will be there. I'll be having my thoughts. So yeah, make sure you tune in. It will be live streaming at 10 p.m. Pacific time. I know it's a little late for you East Coasters out there, but we wanted to give you our real raw reaction. We didn't want to wait any time to give you our feedback, so be sure to tune in at this channel. You'll be seeing the live stream announcement going up fairly soon. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Sacred Rewatch. We hope you enjoyed diving back into the timeline with us. New recap episodes are coming out every week leading up to Avengers Endgame. wherever you are in the multiverse, thanks for making the Sacred Rewatch part of your journey. See you guys.